since she has a small longitudinal fluctuation, it seems to be working between thoracoabdominal hemidiaphragm and pelvis. I'm going to just climb on board with that, piggyback onto that. So it's headed down to the pelvis. I like body English when you're in teams because it really does inform the rest of your team where you are, help you guys work together. So I'm going to use my body to kind of track and represent what the flux is doing. It took not very much intention or work to get this pelvic thoracoabdominal flux to become a whole longitudinal flux.
Is that the intention to get it to go farther?
That's what amplification is.
That's what you want.
That's what, yeah.
To have it a whole flux, right?
Yeah, I want to get the flux as big as it can. Now maybe she wanted to just stay between the thoracoabdominal hemidiaphragms and pelvis, in which case I would just work with that. Right? But I was saying, let's just see if she'll do it whole longitudinally. And she did, so it's all right. Yeah, but the whole nature of this practice, this principle, is amplification of the wave. You want to get it amped up bigger. So now it's like a veritable tsunami washing up in Kimberly's cranium. Headed back, it speeds up a little bit. Force in the pelvis is a little stronger. And it really is in training tissues. It's engaging from back up. And I wait to get the sense that she won't entrain anymore. I keep trying to amplify at the place where I can't get any more recruitment. That's when I start to sort of dampen it back down. But everything is still amplifying. Every wave is a little bit bigger than the one before it. This one's less. This one's stopping. Follow this one. Also less. So I'm going to start dragging my feet a little bit, like I'm on a swing, starting to stop it. Here she is at the head. Slow it down a little bit. Here is the pelvis. Slow it down a little bit. Start to compress, start to compress. Now, why it's possible from here is almost directly under Kimberly's hands is where that scalar point is. You can see where the waves, the two different waves cancel each other out, and you get this like fulcrum there. I'm just aware of it. For heaven's sake, don't start yawning. And there's a full breath. How did it feel when she introduced in the flux? Did it feel strange?
Yeah.
Was it so bad? So, can I do it again? So I'm going to introduce the second longitudinal flux.
Did you wind up in the fulcrum at the end?
Beg pardon?
Did you wind up in the fulcrum at the end?
Not with the first. Did she wind up in the fulcrum or did I wind up in the fulcrum?
Well, she must have. Did you?
No, my hands stayed where they are.
I don't even think.
Review principle, treatment principle number one. What's that?
In other words, you both landed together.
Yeah. She's treating there. I'm supporting the space. She ends up with that scalar 0 point, whatever you want to call it, fulcrum. So I'm going to introduce another wave. Introduce another wave. All these waves are making me sleepy.
They do. They have that hypnotic.
she's not sure about this. She's doing it. It's great. It's got, what? Do this again? So now she's flexing. I'm aware of the place. I'm watching it. I'm going to douse it. Again, like when we find the posterior neuropore, it's like wave, wave in the head, wave in the feet, wave in the head, wave in the feet. No wave. Drop.
Two hands side by side or underneath each other?
A little bit of each.
So you're
Okay.
open.
What's that?
Your hands are like that?
Yes. I could do it with one hand. I mean,
Like this?
and from here, if you get this right, even though she's fluctuating, if you get this right, you're not in any motion. You're in absolute stillness. And you might have to fine tune. The spot I was, I could feel the wave going into her pelvis. I moved up a tiny little bit. That spot.
Do you ever get into the trap of getting into posterior neuroport?
I'm so far from it.
Yeah.
Truth be told, for longitudinal flexus, I don't normally do this,
Yeah.
and because they're so physically engaged, that I would do the first treatment principle.
Because you would get that sensation.
Yeah, you end up here anyway. What I normally do when I do this, and I don't do this that often, the first one is what I do 90% of the time. I do here, if for some reason the first one, either you can't do because of the anatomy, or it just won't work. It won't entrain. How's that? It has a posterior neuropore-like quality to it.
And so you're on the place where it's still, but you're still aware of the flux, even though you're...
Only rudimentarily aware of the flux. Where I am is in a place of really deep stillness. If I allowed myself to fall into that, I wouldn't be aware of the flux at all. But from here, I can feel things moving around me, but I'm not very aware of it.
So you're not going to entrain this, you're just going to hold stillness until it stops.
If you look at what I did last night, there are two different treatment principles. One involves amplification, entrainment, and minimization, and the other bypasses all of that stuff and goes right to the point.
And if you're not really paying attention to your flux, then you're just waiting for breath and flow.
Yes.
Okay.
Either way, the result of the treatment is breath and flow. Harmonious breath and flow.
Thanks.
Well, there's really not much to see, is there?
I know, yeah. That's why I asked.
Oh well.
Can always take it out.
But,
No, right.
so, but oftentimes, I remember you saying that the flux will mask something else, so would it maybe unmask and there'd be something else to do before the breath and flow, or?
You know? Only if the body requires that we do that. Not always.
No, okay.
Yeah. Gotta play it where it lies. You can't go assuming because it was this way, it'll be this way again. Or start to make rules up about stuff that they'll
So it
tell
doesn't
you.
always mask something, sometimes
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah. Sometimes. I use the word sometimes. Now she's getting really soft, really. find that if there's a distinction, if I just go right to the scalar point, it doesn't treat us physically. It's more of an energetic treatment. If you're working with you're training the tissues into the energy. So it feels like you get a lot more downstream engagement. And I think I'm giving you this more for completion, for completeness, I mean, because you may find yourself, but as far as I'm concerned, you should really devote yourself to mastering the first treatment principle. It's the one you'll use nearly all the time.
Okay.